Today's episode is brought to you by Patreon. If you're interested in supporting the show, go to patreon.com/JoshuaVelas and become a $2 backer today and get early access to the new episodes. I'll be leaving a link in the description down below, but for now, on to today's episode. You're listening to the Augmented Experience podcast. I'm your host, as usual, Joshua Velas. I'm a student, musician, and a gamer at heart. Join me as I sit down every week to talk about all the latest news in the technology, business, and video game world. I hope you guys enjoy. All right, everybody. Welcome back to the show. My name is Joshua Velas. I'm your host as usual, and obviously welcome back to the show. Today's episode 175 of the show, and before we get started, I'm going to do a bad house cleaning quick because, well, you guys don't like to do around here, and it only makes sense if we do it, so let's get on with the house cleaning. I do want to say thank you guys for coming back and listening because it really does mean a lot to me. You guys constantly keep taking time out of your days to listen to these episodes, to download them, to share them, to, well, let me know your opinion about, my show, my opinion, whatever it may be, because, well, let's just be honest here. Everyone has an opinion, so, just let everyone keep their opinion. And to me, I'm just grateful that you guys, get to share, and I'd say probably a better term or the better way of saying it is thank you for allowing me to have even just a piece of your time, because I know that time is a very precious thing. And I really appreciate it that you guys are allowing me to have a piece of that time. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Really appreciate it. I also want to say thank you to Patreon backers for supporting the show. You guys are great because you keep supporting the show. And if you obviously want to become a Patreon backer, you can click the links down below, and, well, you get early access to the new episodes. So, that's what we're working on. Then we're still working on benefits because, let's be honest here, there's always ways of adding value to that kind of stuff. But I also want to say thank you guys for all the love and support. I know this episode is a special one. Well, I wouldn't say a special one, but it's 175 episodes of doing this show. So we're almost, 3/4 of the way to 200. And I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited. And I think this is going to be a great episode today to at least mark 175, because it's a very important episode for me personally, because it is a real talk again. I haven't done one of these in a while. However, what we're going to be talking about specifically is the internship, because I know a lot of you guys know, hey, I took a break from the show because I was doing an internship, and then fast forward at least maybe a couple weeks later or a month later, and then we're like, okay, what happened? And I know I was going to talk about it. I'm not going to go into details or specifics about the internship, but what I really want this episode to be about is that internships aren't the be all end all, that they're not the most important thing you need to do. And now I'm going to preference this and say that I'm not saying that internships are not important. I'm not saying that they don't help you. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is they're not for everybody, or more specifically, not every internship is right for you and what you want to do. And that's really what I want to talk about here, because this is a decision that you have to learn to be an adult and how to make them. Because let's be honest here, if every experience was, let's say if it was just always the perfect fit for you, are you really growing and are you really learning about who you are and what you want to do? The answer would be no. You don't really learn anything. You're just, if everything was just the perfect fit for you, do you really learn? It makes you question it. And that's really what I want to talk about a little bit and explain, not exactly what happened with me in the internship, but just the whole premise of the conversation is it really the right fit for you? And is it everything that it's, that people make it out to be? So for me, I did the internship for at least over a week. And to be honest, I liked it. I liked the people. However, when it came to the job and things like that, I began to slowly realize, hey, maybe this isn't what I want to do with my life. Maybe this, I get it. People are like, oh, internships are for experience, they're for knowledge. They're helping you to figure out how the real world works. And I'm like, Yes, but these are also choices they have to make as an adult as well, because let's be honest here, not every single decision you're going to make is going to be a good one. Let's just be real here. We're all imperfect. We all make mistakes. It's just natural that you're not always going to be right or make the right call all the time. That's just fair, because that's just a reality. We're imperfect human beings. Sometimes we like to make decisions heavily based on emotions. We like to make decisions, not really thinking it through 100%. And then once you really do think about it, you're like, oh crap, this probably wasn't a good idea. And it's like, well, okay, let's fix it, or at least try to salvage the situation. But in my case, yes, I understand that it was a great opportunity. I understand that it was a great way of understanding experience, because that's what I really wanted out of an internship. Was obviously the pay. Pay was based on commissions and things like that. So if you do really well, then obviously, then the payout's massive. Unlike the traditional internships that, or I'd say traditional, but there are internships that don't even pay you a dime to work. But at least common practice, or at least good practices, is that you would be paid to do your internship. You get paid per hour to do the job, learn, grow, etc. And for me, going out and doing the job, because I was at least, just being honest, I was still willing and able to go do the job. I did it. I was like, okay, I can sit here and complain. And I'm like, no, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to learn. I want to see how this really works. Because to me, that's just how I like to learn is, yes, I'm great in the classroom. I'm great at taking notes. But to me, I'm better or more comfortable seeing how it all works out in person, that's just, I'm more of a visual learner per se. I like actually doing things. I like going out there and learning how to do something, because to me that's the most entertaining. It's the best way for me to remember how to do it. And as time had gone on, I began to realize that, hey, this doesn't seem like something that I want to do, nor do I ever want to do. Because even though, yes, I understand the internship was, marketing and sales, because, doing door-to-door sales, but that's not the type of marketing that I want to do. That's not the way that I want to do things, because just being honest, my personality and the way I like to do things is much different than a door-to-door salesman. Just being honest, my skill set is not the most equipped to be a door-to-door salesman, even though some people are like, well, you have to learn how to do it. I'm like, well, not really. I don't have to learn how to be a door-to-door salesman, because let's be honest, doing door-to-door sales already has a bad stigma to begin with. I think we can be honest and we can be fair here that door-to-door sales are not the most, they're not the most best case scenario for a lot of people. They're not viewed as highly, even though, in terms of doing a job, it's pretty lucrative. But just being honest, in the context of how it's perceived by people, not that many people are kind of happy looking at door-to-door salesmen. Let's just be honest here. If we're thinking about our, my personal experience, I can, it made sense to me, because I'm like, okay, I understand, not everybody wants to talk to you, and you knock on their door at, say, 7:00 at night, or at least super early in the morning. Nobody wants to talk to you, bud. Let's just be honest here. It doesn't matter how nice of a baby face you have. And that's just the cold hard reality. However, how does all of this relate to the idea of internships not being everything they're made out to be? And the reason I say that is because, just being honest, you don't need to have an internship to be successful, to have a career. It's just another means of making it easier to get your foot in the door. That doesn't mean that it's the only way. It just means it's a how would you put it? It gives you a leg up, or it gives you that experience that they're really looking for. Even though, let's be honest here, most jobs you're going to apply for, when they talk about experience, they're talking about 3 to 5 years worth of experience, based on, depending on the type of job you want to do. I get it. Engineering is a little bit different, even though I understand how the engineering side works, since, I used to be engineering and I was thoroughly explained how it really works. But to me, this is where I had to make a decision. I had to be an adult. And a lot of people don't like hearing those words, because they're like, I gotta be an adult and I gotta learn to make choices. Because let's be honest here, as you get older, or if you're older, you can probably relate, that not every job is going to be the best fit for you. Now, I am a firm believer that you should learn to commit to a place. You should learn to be there, and be there for the long haul, because that's the better thing to do, because you want to have a sense of stability. You want to have a sense of like integrity. You want to have a sense of, hey, I want to be loyal to this place. They gave me the opportunity. But that also comes with the idea of like, hey, if I'm being called to do something else, or say I'm being given a promotion, or like, I'm being, offered a bigger position at another place, then that's a different ball game, because now it's like, hey, I honored my commitment here. I did what I said I was going to do. I appreciate the opportunity. Like, I was offered this opportunity. I thought about it for a while. I talked about it, with my community group or whatever, whatever you have. If you, have a community group, or you talk to your parents about decisions that you like to make with your career or your life in general, then hey, there's nothing wrong with that, because that's part of being an adult. That's part of growing up, is you have to learn to make these calls and be like, hey, this just isn't the right fit for me. It's nothing personal. It's nothing against you. It just means, hey, this just isn't the right fit for me. And that's what I want people to really understand when we talk about these kind of things, because it's not that internships are bad. It's just they're not the right fit for everybody. Because yes, the internships are great for teaching you, experiences, how a company works in and out, like especially in the type of engineering. Say you're doing petroleum engineering and you want to go work with an oil company. You're going to learn pretty quickly how that stuff works. And whether you like it, it'll probably tell you, hey, do I see myself doing this for the rest of my life or not? And it's a great indicator. And if you say, hey, like, I like this opportunity, it's just, not for me. And then that's just how it is. You just have to admit that it's just not for you. And it's one of those things where a lot of people don't like hearing that, because a lot of people are like, I don't want to say this in a bad way, and I do not mean this in any bad or negative way. I get it that there's a lot of people that tell you, hey, suck it up, deal with it, see it to the very end. And I'm like, yes, there's truth in there. Yes, you should always strive to do everything to the best of your ability. Strive to see it to the very end. But if it's just not, say, if your goals are not lining up for what you want to do and what you want to accomplish in a set period of time, then if there's, you're allowed to say, hey, man, our goals aren't lining up. I knew what I was getting into, because I know a lot of people tell me like, hey, bud, we told you, this is what's going to happen. I'm like, no, I agree. Like, I know that in my case, like, I was like, I know what I'm getting myself into. Like, I understood, hey, this is door-to-door sales based on commission. The pay is lucrative if you do everything, if you manage to get sales. But I was like, okay, I want to give it a try. Let's see if I can do it. And if not, then hey, no, man, no harm, no foul. I get to come home. And to me, I was like, I made that call. I was like, hey, this just isn't the right thing for me. It just isn't. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But I do want people to understand that, hey, man, I get it. When you're in college, everyone always tells you, especially if you're an engineering major, or I would say probably even business majors too, and almost, anything aside, I'd say pretty much almost every major teaches you. Let's actually be honest here. A lot of them teach you that you have to have an internship in order to get your foot in the door. That you have zero chance of being successful, of having a career, having the career that you want to have, if you can't get an internship, because you don't have the experience. And to be honest, if I'm being frank with you, a lot of my experience may not be working in the field. It still got me through the door, if you think about it. Because doing the show, for example, for a lot of companies shows that, hey, when it comes to marketing, this kid likes to do research. This kid likes to talk. This kid knows how to communicate ideas effectively to a large group of people. He knows how to get people to actually listen and pay attention to what he's saying, able to help make things clear, concise for everybody. And a lot of companies, just seeing that on my resume, immediately are like, okay, we want an interview with you. Because they start asking me questions, like they start asking me to talk about the show, because that's what they want you to do. They want you to talk about, they want you to talk about yourself. They want you to present yourself and see, hey, what do they know? Like, what makes them stand out? Because let's be honest here, the opportunities will come and go. Like, whether you believe it or not, like, say, in my case, you got one internship and you're like, I'll never get another one if I let this go, because I feel like a lot of people think that way. Which, to be honest, if you do feel that way, I just want to be clear and concise with you and just tell you in a loving manner, there's more opportunities. Like, if there was only just truly one opportunity for you in life, then man, I don't know what you're believing. You're believing a lie at that point, because there's more than one opportunity. There always will be, because there's plenty of jobs. Let's be real here. Like, there's plenty of jobs, because they're obviously looking for people. They want young college interns, unless if the job specifically says they want someone that's super experienced, and that's a whole different thing. But what a lot of companies look for, and I've noticed this, a lot of companies, they like to hire from within. They like to hire new people and see who will stay the longest, who will stay with them, who will be consistent with them, and then, promote them up. And that's why you have to look at a lot of those things with companies, like, okay, which one gives me the better path of promotion, going, inside and things like that. Like, does this company really heavily promote, promoting people on the inside? And, does it have better trajectories for growing in my career than other places? That's something you really got to look into with all the benefits and stuff, but that's a whole different topic for another day. But we still keep going back to the main point of our internships, everything people make them out to be. And yes, I do believe they're great experiences, but you can gain experiences outside of internships. For example, for engineering, you can go get certificates. You can go get certifications. And last time I checked, those things are pretty important. Like, not gonna lie, for my computer engineering and electrical engineering majors, you people should be chasing an A+ certification. You should be chasing certifications in, say, Windows, understanding operating systems. You should be chasing IT fundamentals. You should be chasing these certifications that are, hey, pretty helpful for what you're trying to do with your life. Like, just being honest here, they're kind of important. Same thing goes for like other professions. Like, if you want to be a med student, obviously you're gonna go learning how to do stuff in a hospital, or you're gonna learn to sit in seminars with actual trained doctors and learn what they're trying to teach you. If you're going to law school, obviously one of your big internship opportunities would be going to go work in a law firm and seeing how the process works, or even volunteering, seeing how the legal system works. Like, there's many opportunities and there's many experiences out there that'll help you be prepared for your career. That's what I want people to understand, is that I'm not saying that internships are bad. What I'm saying is that, one, they're not for everybody. I'm just being honest. Same thing goes for college. College is not for everybody. I'd be lying to you if I told you everyone should go to college, because that is a straight lie. Not everyone should go to college, because college is not for everybody. I've said this multiple times. College is literally just a giant social experiment. You do not really learn anything about how your job works there. I'm just being honest with you. Like, I know some people will be like, oh no, bro, I actually learned a lot. Bro, just being honest, unless you're going to med school, you're not really learning much about your job. You're learning a lot of some very basic things that'll come in handy later down. Like, maybe you'll learn some things that are pretty handy, but 9 times out of 10, let's just be real here, your school is not going to prepare you for the real world. I'm just being honest with you. What it is going to teach you, though, is going to teach you social skills. It's going to teach you to learn how to communicate ideas with other people, learn how to work in a team, because that's how the real world works, whether you like it or not. That's how society functions, is you have to learn to work with people. I get it. There's people that are introverts. I get it. There's people that hate people. I'm just being honest. I live with them and I deal with them. Well, not live with them, but you get what I mean. Like, I hang around with people that fall into those categories. Personally, I'm not that type of person. I'm more of a, just being honest, I'm more of a people's person. I like talking to people. I like getting to know where people are coming from. I like to be very empathetic and understanding, but not everyone's like that way. So you have to learn to approach them a little bit differently. But what college does teach you, and it taught me very well, just being honest here, is you got to learn to approach different people. You got to learn to work with different types of people, because you just never know. Everybody is going to be different, because that's just the reality. Everybody is unique and everybody is unique and special in their own ways. There's always something about you that separates you from everybody else. There will never be another you. People can have similar traits, can have similar qualities, but nobody is you. You get what I'm saying? To be honest, that's pretty much the whole thing. Like when you try to think about and wrap your head around the whole thing of internships is, one, it's not just a one and done. It's not just one opportunity and there'll never be another, because that was the case. Then why do people get multiple different internships? They have multiple offers and they have to choose. Like in my case, I had to choose between which internship I took. I could have took another one, but they weren't flexible with my schedule, because for me, I made a promise. I made a commitment with the school because my job at the school is to be an RA. So that's my commitment, is I committed to them. I'm like, hey, you guys hired me. You guys did my interviews and everything. And I'm going to keep my end of the bargain and maintain the dates that you have given me. I'm not just going to backpedal and be like, well, sorry, man, I got another thing. And it's like, no, my original commitment is with the school. That is my responsibility. So I'm going to honor that commitment because that is the commitment that I made. That's part of being an adult. You have to learn to honor the commitments that you make. And one of them were like, hey, we just can't work with your schedule. I'm like, hey, that's perfectly fine. You can go pick somebody else. Thank you for your time. And I really appreciate it. And this company was more lenient. They were more flexible, because that's kind of the nature of the job, is it's more flexible. It's more fluid. But when it came to doing it, it just wasn't for me. And the same thing might happen to you. Like maybe there's some people listening to this that have been in a similar predicament where, hey, they got an internship. It just wasn't right for them. It just wasn't the experience they're looking for. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I don't want people to start thinking that internships are the be all end all, and that if you can't get an internship, then you've absolutely failed. Because I'm just if I'm going to be on, like, I want to be 100% honest. That's how I thought for a good amount of period of time, where I always thought that I couldn't get an internship, that it was always, hey, you're great, but not good enough. That you have everything we're looking for, but there's just one little thing. And because of that, we're going to have to say no. And that sucked. And now look at, like, just being honest, look at what changed a semester later. I started getting companies being like, hey, you have exactly what we're looking for, and we'd really like to have you. And things change. And I hope people realize that is like, yes, you will have to learn to make the hard decisions. That's just the cold, hard reality. Because if anything, if you take away anything from this entire conversation, I want you to take away that when you get older, or as you go throughout life, you have to be willing to make the hard choices. You have to be willing to engage in those difficult conversations that make you feel uncomfortable, that, might make you look like a jerk. I'm just being honest. You're gonna have to learn to grow up. You're gonna have to learn to approach what's considered difficult and engage and to be a leader and be like, hey, I want to be clear. I want to be transparent. I want to do things the right way. This just isn't for me. Because let's be honest, you're gonna swing through jobs. Well, the hope is that you don't do that. But if, say, you get a job and you get offered another job and it's something better and it's something that you actually want to do, and it's what you're, I wouldn't say it's what you're, well, I'll actually put it like that. It's what you're called to do, like your actual job, like the thing that you were destined to do with your life. And you're like, hey, I just want to think, then you just be upfront and honest with the people. Like, hey, I'm presented with another opportunity. I've talked about it. I feel like this is my true calling for my life. I want to say thank you for the opportunity you guys have given me here. I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for everything. I'm going to go pursue this new opportunity, but I wanted to do right by you guys. And that's what, like, in my case, that's what I did. I wanted to make sure that I do right by the people, for the internship. And I was like, hey, this just isn't the right fit for me. It isn't. Like, things are happening here at home that I need to be more available, but just at the end of the day, this just wasn't the right fit for me. There's nothing wrong. I believe in what you guys are doing. I agree with how you guys are doing things. You guys are doing a great job. You guys are showing that, hey, it works. What you're teaching has results, but this just isn't for me. Like, I'm just being honest and upfront with them. And that's how we left it. And I didn't look back. I didn't be like, hey, I regret not taking this. No, because if you're going to regret it, then you shouldn't do it. Like, you have to learn to live with the consequences of your actions, whether it be good or bad. If you can live with it, cool. If you can't, then you probably shouldn't be doing it to begin with. And I was okay with the choice that I made. I was like, okay, I dropped the internship. What now? And so I went to go get a job, and because I needed money, like that was the main goal, was for this summer. I just wanted money to survive and then just get to the point where I can go back to school, do my job over there, get paid, and and graduate, because that's the end goal for me. Is my end goal, or the current goal right now, is to graduate college. That's what I want. I want to graduate college, and I want to make sure that when I graduate college, I have a career ready to go, that I have things lined up, or at least a job lined up, that this is what I'm going to do. And, here we go. Let's go do it, and that may not happen. I may not even graduate. I can't control what's going to happen. Like, I can't sit here and be like, I know the future, that things can't change. Like, to be honest, I could die tonight. That's just the reality. I could die today and none of that will happen. Because that's just the reality. Is I can control nothing of how life really works. I can't control death. I can't control time. And I can't control the randomness of life. Because that's just the reality. You can't control anything. But the only thing you really do control are the choices you make. That's it. That's all you really have control over, are the choices that you make, because those are yours. You have free will for a reason. But at the end of the day, what would I say to myself if I was in a position where, I thought internships were everything? I would say, hey, bud, I'm glad you think that way. But I want you to understand, not every opportunity is going to be good for you. Not every opportunity is going to help you. It'll help you it will help you understand what you want to do, but it's not going to help you in the sense of like, hey, it's not going to help you in the sense of like, oh, I gained experience, that's going to help me do my job. It's like, if anything, it's going to help you be like, hey, this isn't what I want to do, and there's actually something I do want to do. Or at least it will point you in the direction, be like, this is what I want. Like, they have a piece of what I'm looking for, but they don't have everything, But to be honest, that's how I viewed everything. Was it just wasn't the right fit for me, but I know there'll be more opportunities down the road. Because if one door opened, that doesn't mean they're all closed forever. That doesn't mean that no door will ever open again. That's not what that means. And I hope that if you're in that similar boat, I hope that I'm encouraging you, and that this is encouraging to be like, hey, there's always more opportunities down the road. There always is. Like, I don't want you to think that, oh, if I don't accept this now, then I'm doomed and I'm never going to have a job and I'm just going to be a failure for the rest of my life. No, you're not. You're not a failure. You're not going to fail just because you don't accept, or just because, oh, I didn't complete my internship, or I didn't get an internship to begin with. You are going to be fine. But what you need to do is prepare yourself for what you want to do. Because if you say you want this career, you want this type of job, do the necessary steps to prepare for it. Don't just sit there twiddling your thumbs, pretending that everything is going to be, sunshine and rainbows. Because I'm going to be real with you, big fella. Life is going to kick you in your teeth, and it's going to kick you pretty hard. I'm speaking from experience, if I'm being honest with you. But just because it's hard, it doesn't mean it's impossible. But that doesn't mean you should be doing everything on your own. And this is where, personally, for my beliefs and everything, that yes, everything for man is truly impossible. But for God, there's nothing. Nothing is impossible, because how can something be impossible for the one who makes everything possible? The one who literally has no limit, that even your feeble, limited human brain cannot comprehend how infinite he really is. Like, if you think about it, it's like, not even when we're talking about God and the idea of, spirituality and things like that, the human brain cannot wrap itself around the idea of infinity. It can't. Our brains are finite, limited. Infinite means no limit, no caps. You cannot fully comprehend it because it's infinite. That's why the idea of infinity, we still don't understand it, because we never will. It's infinite. And you try to justify, you cannot understand literally what you cannot understand. You get what I mean? You can't try to explain something that you do not understand, because that's just a reality. But at the end of the day, yes, internships are not everything. You don't need to have an internship to have a successful career. You don't need an internship to be like, oh, I'm going to do great. I'm on a right track. Like, you don't need, like, that's not what I'm saying. Internships are important, but I don't want you to feel like they're everything, that if you don't get one, you're doomed. Now, for the type of career that you want, I would do everything possible to prepare yourself for that career. That means certifications. Maybe it does mean an internship. Maybe there's a specific company that you want to work with. Then yeah, there's nothing wrong with like, hey bro, I want to get an internship with this company. Like, all power to you, big man, or big lady. Like, all power to you. Like, I want you to do that. I want you to strive for what you want to do. And now keep in mind, you have to make sure that what you want to do actually lines up with what you're destined to do. And this is where it does get a bit tricky, because then you have to think about, like, what does that really mean? That's a whole different other conversation for another time. But for me, like, I love marketing. Like, I like doing research. I like doing market analysis. I like breaking down topics, trends, market trends, just general consumer trends, whether it be in technology, business, the video game industry. I like talking about these trends because there's patterns, and these patterns lead to specific outcomes, specific results. History tends to repeat itself a lot. Just being honest, it really does. But for me, one of the goals that I have for myself and what I want to do for marketing is I would like to have a career with Apple. I would like to be a part of their marketing team, because they have shown time and time again that they're effective at what they do. And you can't lie, they're pretty effective at marketing their stuff because people keep buying it. Like, if they didn't, they wouldn't be in the position they are now. They also wouldn't keep making jokes in the presentation about like the crack marketing team. Because let's be honest here, they're definitely on something with how they market everything. But they're good at what they do. And I would like to be in that position one day. But if that means I have to start with one company and build my way up, and hey, like they're like, hey, we really like you, we like your experience, then all power to them. Or maybe the company that I say I start with is where I work my entire life, and then I retire and I get promoted all the way up to like higher management, stuff like that. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm willing to trust the process, and I'm willing to trust that there will always be opportunities, or there will always be doors that are going to open and close, and you have to learn to manage them as an adult. That's just the reality. Is you have to learn to manage them. You have to learn to say no when you got to say no, and say yes when you should say yes, But I hope this was helpful. I know it's a little bit of a longer episode that I haven't, the longest episode I've done in a while. And I know some people think I'm rambling, but I want you to take away that internships are not everything. That doesn't mean they're bad. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't strive to get one. No, you should. But I want you to make sure that you're not beating yourself up just because you didn't get one, or, oh, I didn't finish my internship. That's okay. But I want you to understand that you have to live with the consequences of your choices. If you don't finish it, like you're like, hey, this just isn't the right fit for me. I'm like, hey man, that's okay. Nothing wrong. It just wasn't the right fit for you. Thank you for your time. We really appreciate it. But it's a whole different ball game. But just the reality is, it's okay if you don't get one. It's okay. You'll be fine. But do everything that you need to prepare for what you want for your life and what you want for your career, because you have to prepare. It's what people say is people that want to be great parents aren't just sitting there twiddling their thumbs. They're preparing. They're doing what they need to do, improving themselves in the areas of their lives that would be helpful to raise a family. Like doctors, or good doctors, aren't just good just because they're good. No, they're constantly practicing their craft. Good photographers, they're always practicing their craft. People that are really like pro esports players, what are they always doing? Practicing, getting good, and getting to the point that they want to be at. Like, you're always preparing for what's next. Like, you never want to stay or put it like this. You never want to stay stagnant and be like, okay, I've already achieved it, I'm done. No, it's constantly be preparing, constantly be ready for what comes next. Never be stagnant. Never be comfortable. Always live in the uncomfortable. That's how you truly grow. But I'll leave you guys with that. I do want to say thank you guys for all, your love and support. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your time. I know this was a little bit of a longer episode. And again, I'm not doing video right now because, to be honest, it's just easier to do the audio versions. And it's also a little bit more fun because then I can post funny little thumbnails and stuff like that. But I had to post these funny little thumbnails like for this video. I really like the one that I put for it. But I appreciate you guys. I love you guys to death. Please continue to be safe, guys. Please continue to have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful week. I hope you guys enjoy this. Enjoy your week. Please be safe. Please continue to take care of everyone around you. Please continue to be respectful of those around you. And just try to be, good people. Well, I wouldn't say good people because, that kind of contradicts what I was learning today. But try to always look at the bright side of things. There's always something good. That's just the reality. There's always good, even though there's going to be days you're going to be like, hey, man, my life sucks. This sucks. And I'm like, there will always be better days ahead. You just have to have a little bit of hope. And hope in something that never changes. Hope in something that never fails. But with that, I leave you guys. Thank you guys for your time. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. If you like this episode, leave a like, leave a dislike if you didn't like it. Leave a comment down below if you found this helpful. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen to your podcast, download the episode, share the episode with your friends, family, do whatever you got to do. But until next time, guys, I love you guys to death. Please continue to be safe. And as always, don't do anything dumb. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.
Hey there. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day and listening to today's episode. If you're interested in supporting the show, whether it be financially, clicking the follow button, or just sharing the episode, it all works for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for your time, and I love you guys to death.